Hey everybody. So my name is Pup Zephyr. Show Me Leather Puppy 2019, 2020, as well as Midwest Puppy 2019 and 2020. I've been given a total of like 15, 20 minutes-ish to talk about pup play, pet play in general. Couple things to be aware of. There's not a lot I'm going to be able to get through in 15 to 20 minutes, and I can talk about this for hours. So bear with me on that. However, what I would like to kind of start with is a little bit about pup mentality and what it is, I guess, from the beginning. So ultimately, when it comes to being a pup or a pet, and I'm sorry, I identify as a pup, so I probably will utilize the term pup a little bit more often, but it is inclusive to the pets in general. So when it comes to the pet play, it's a mindset. It is different for every single person. It is not a one size fits all. What pet play means to me is not going to be what it means to the next person, or even 15 other people. For me, it is a mental escape. It is a way to release myself from reality. I don't have to deal with my everyday drama, the pressures, the stresses. I don't have to think about bills. I don't have to think about work. I don't have to think about anything else. I put myself into a headspace, commonly known as pup space. I put myself into my pup space, and basically at that point in time, nothing else matters. I focus on the important things. Some of that stuff includes getting love, getting attention, giving love, giving attention, playing, having fun. That's like one of the most important pieces to me. Nothing else matters. I don't think about anything else. I dive down into this, deep hole of being a pet, being a pup. It's easy for me to go into pet space. It's not easy for everybody to go into pup space. I go in 2 minutes, and I fall deep, and then for me to coming out, it takes 15, 20 minutes, sometimes longer, for me to be able to focus enough to even speak words. This is why it's very important for a lot of pets to have a handler. It's only one of the reasons. There's a lot of other reasons too, but you need somebody that's going to be there to take care of you. You need somebody who's going to be there to help guide you through this. When you're coming out of this, it's a very difficult thing. I understand. My mind works. I am still human, as much as I like to deny that sometimes. I am still human, and my mind works. I thoroughly understand everything that's going on around me. I thoroughly comprehend everything. My mouth doesn't want to work. I can't speak. I need my handler there to help me. So your handler is the second person, or that person that's there to help you while you're in pet space, to care for you, to give you as much guidance as they can. When you're focused and you're in this tunnel vision space, you don't have the capacity to realize what other things might necessarily be going on. So they're there to watch out for your well-being. They're there to remind you to drink water. They're there to remind you, maybe give you gummy bears or treats or something to that effect. So they're there for that. They're also there for that aftercare, bringing you out, helping you go in. Some pets need that help going into pet space. So that's kind of a little bit about what pet space is. I'm going to kind of break it down into a few categories, and I know that there's a lot of other categories that this could really grow out to, but I'm going to say there's 4 types of pups. And I'm speaking specifically about pups, but again, pets in general. A lot of this, it can be cross different categories of pet play. There is the social pups, or the social pets, and they're the ones that just kind of like to put on the hood and they like to go out and have fun and be very social, and it's all just about that. That's all there is. So there's social. There's psychological. The psychological pets are going to be the ones like me where it is a release. It's almost like a therapy for me. It is a full release. So that's your psychological pet, you know, where I go into that headspace. Some pets don't ever make it into that headspace. There is a sexual pup. I don't think that needs a whole lot of definition. And then you've got your service pups. Your service pups or your service pets are the ones that do exactly that. They provide some sort of a service for somebody else. They could be somebody, you know, that helps with triggering effects, you know, like when somebody starts to get, you know, be triggered for whatever that person is dealing with, that pet will kind of jump in and realize this is what's going on, and I'm going to take, you know, steps to kind of help work with my person to really make sure that they're okay. They provide a service. So those are the 4 types of pets. There's like 1 or 2 other little small, and I call them subcategories because I think they fit into those. You've got the slave pups, you know, and they kind of, that can fill under service pups, but it can also fill under sexual pups. So again, there's not one right way, and there are plenty of pets that fill multiple roles. They actually will go in and, you know, they might be sexual and psychological. They might never be sexual. There are pets that don't believe in sex when they're in their pet space. And that's okay. Speaking of that, I have to be very, very, very clear on this. I can't tell you how many times you start talking about sexual pups or sexual play as a pet, and people immediately go to sex with bio pets. Not the case at all. 129, 30, 50, 200%, never going to happen. That's not what this is about at all. So I just want to be very, very, very clear on that from the beginning. This is about embodying the pup or the pet. That's what the pet play is about. So knowing that those are the several categories of pet play, I will now jump into a couple of the other roles that that kind of need. I kind of mentioned you've got your pet or your pups. You have your handlers. There are a lot of other titles, and again, going through all of them, there are owners, there are handlers, there are pets, there are masters, there are trainers. There's a lot of different titles, but I'm going to kind of lump them all into handler for the moment. So you've got your pet, you've got your handler. Again, there's additional breakdowns, but we'll kind of narrow it down. You also then have a pack, and the pack is going to be a group of pets that are going to work together. Those pets are going to be a family. They become their own family, if you will, and they do things together. And some of it may be pet related. Some of it might be just sitting down and watching movies or going to dinner or whatever. But it does become your family. So that's your pack. Within a pack, again, everyone is different. But within a pack, you typically have roles. You'll have everything from your alpha. Your alpha is going to be kind of like your, for lack of better words, the top dog. This is going to be the one that kind of, sets a little bit more of the standards or the rules, and is kind of like the leader of the group, if you will. And then you've got your omegas and your betas. So your betas are going to be, and I'll really just kind of stick with betas at this point, but your betas are basically going to be your the followers of the alpha. So the alpha, is going to be kind of your top dog, if you will, within that. There's all kinds of different dynamics. I have a pack right now. There's 2 of us, and we don't have an alpha or a beta. We are just a pack. That's the dynamic that works for us. And again, it is what you make it. It's what you need it to be. It's what you want it to be. Pet play is all about what you need out of it. Again, when you're working with your handler is going to have what they need to get out of it, and you're going to need to know what you are going to be getting out of it, and the two of those things have to match. Be very, very cautious about jumping into packs and pet handler relationships. I see people jumping into these like, oh my gosh, I am a pet, I need to have a pack now. Oh my gosh, I'm a pet, I need a handler. And they do everything they can to grab a handler or put together a pack without thinking it through and without it being the correct individuals. Your packs, your handlers, your pets, you all need to work together. You need to make sure that it's the right thing. That's like, it's kind of like saying I'm going to marry somebody, you know, and you don't want to just marry somebody just because you got to marry them. Or, you know, oh my gosh, I'm, you know, so old, or I'm so, you know, whatever, that I need to be married right away. It's the same type of a mentality. Be careful with that. There are people that prey on that. And your safety is really, really, really important. That being said, I'm going to jump into a little bit of a different dynamic now and kind of some of the basics of gear and play in general for pets. First off, gear is not important. Gear does not make the pet. That is very, 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 very important to understand. That being said, I do want to say that gear does or can help some pets get into their pet space. It helps their head, you know, their mind go there. It took me a long time before I could go into pet space without having my hood on. My hood was, for lack of better words, it was putting on my mask. It was putting on that face. It was changing who I am and becoming somebody else. And for a while, I needed to have that in order for my mind to grasp it all. So the pet gear can become very, very helpful. You'll see I've got a couple of pet hoods here, pup hoods. They can be fairly cheap on Amazon. They can be fairly expensive off of someplace like Mr. S Leather or PNC Creations or Mr. Bear. There's a whole bunch, Mr. Pup. They've got a whole bunch of different sites where you can get hoods. This is going to be a little bit of a nitpicking thing. They are a hood. They're not a mask. So we do typically refer to them as a hood because a mask does have a kind of a different feeling to it, a different way of a connotation, a different connotation. So we do have our hoods. The hoods can be very important for some pets. Again, it doesn't have to be an expensive hood. Find what works for you. All kinds of different shapes and colors, and I've seen people personalize them and they draw on them and they paint them and they do all kinds of things. And again, it's what works for you. So your hood is fairly important. Another thing that I think a lot of people, it helps with the feeling, is the collar. That collar, again, just putting that on, it's kind of like a safety net. I don't know how else to explain that. So the collar is a very important piece to me. I actually feel naked when I don't have a collar of some sort on. I'm kind of like, you know, like, oh my gosh, my neck, I need that. It's an identity. I've got my tag. It reminds me of who I am. And that's important to me. So I always have my tag on at all times. There is, you know, a couple other things that can help with pets getting into a pet space. Some of it can be as simple as a tail. You know, there's several different styles, several different colors, but a tail attaches right on. This one is a show tail, so it attaches right onto a belt or something to that effect on your clothing. It's worn outside, and again, being able to just wag that tail and have that extension of your personality. It can be very important to some pups or some pets. Not everybody. Some people don't need this. Some people don't have them, and that's okay. There's two pieces of gear if you're going to be doing any type of playing that are probably the most important pieces that you almost want to have at any point in time. Those two pieces are going to be your mitts or hand guards of some sort. Pop them on so that when I'm bouncing around on the ground, I'm not busting up my knuckles. I'm not. It helps me, and it helps keep me protected and safe. They can be anything from boxing gloves to bondage mitts to kickboxing, like sparring gloves or weightlifting gloves. Anything that's got a padding on the knuckles is going to really, really help. I prefer the bondage mitts because it does completely cut off the use of my hands. So it helps me kind of get back into that pup space so I don't get to the point of like, oh, I want to use my fingers to grab something. I don't have fingers as a pet. Those are very important, and if you haven't already guessed, the other piece that's going to be very important are knee pads. Knee pads are very, very important. Again, I'm getting up there in age, and running around on your knees for quite a bit of time can be rough. So some good knee pads. Spend the extra money and get a good high-quality pair. You won't regret it. So those are the two safety pieces that you need. The other couple things safety-wise when you're playing around as a pup that you want to be aware of is don't have a lot of gear on or stuff that is going to get caught with somebody else. Remember Pets Roughhouse. They start, kind of clawing at each other and tumbling and messing around. And things as simple as piercings can get caught, and that can be damaging. Piercings, a lot of gear, if it's got, sharp edges or, harnesses and stuff, you've got to be careful with wearing some of that stuff when you're doing any moshing. Typically, most pets don't have shoes on when they mosh. Again, for that reason, because you start flipping around and stuff gets all over the place. When it comes to playing, there's all kinds of things you can do with a pet. One of the things safety-wise that I want to bring up, I've had it happen to me, and it's not a pleasant experience, is remember that, yes, you may be a human pup, but you're not a bio pup. Your teeth are not as strong as a human or as a bio pup. Bio pups can play tug of war. Humans have to be a lot more careful with that. I've had somebody come up to me while I was in pet space, and I had a rope in my mouth, and they yanked it and almost pulled out my teeth. Caused great pain. You've got to be very careful, and that's one of the safety things that I need to stress is remember human teeth are not the same as pet teeth. Our mouths are built different. So be very, very, very careful. Not saying you can't play tug of war. I still do, but I play very gently when I do tug of war. So again, you got to be very, very careful, and you need to make sure that anybody you're playing with, whether it's another pet, whether it is a handler, doesn't matter who it is. Sometimes if you've got a rope in your mouth and somebody who doesn't know anything comes up and grabs that rope, be careful. Be careful. Again, this is where that handler is. It's really important to have them there to help you out. Playing can be as great and as simple as rolling a ball back and forth. Obviously, we can't, use our mouths to grab balls as easily as, you might, a bio pet might be able to. The hoods start to kind of get in the way a little bit. But you still make do with what you've got. And yes, it's not 100%, accurate. But that's okay. It doesn't need to be accurate. Rolling a ball back and forth. One of the favorite things of most pets, not all of pets, are squeaky toys. This is enough to annoy every handler. And if you're a good pet, you'll find the right one that annoys your handler the best. Usually the louder, the better for me. I'm like, yes. And when you've got several pets moshing and playing together, and you've got 20 squeakers and different toys squeaking and making noise at the same time, there's no greater sound in the world. Unless you're a handler, and then there's no worse sound in the world. So Pet play, again, it can be as fun and exciting as you want it to be. Some pets don't play at all. They are more, training. They want to be handled. They want to be, they want to be led around. They want to be somebody working with them, teaching tricks, whatever the case might be. They want that a little bit more strict guidance, and they want it not going to go down necessarily submissive, but I'll say kind of more in that dom sub type of a relationship where they really want to be dominated. And again, that's okay. That's what works for them. They may not ever want to play with another pup. I know several pets that don't want, they don't do the whole moshing. They don't do the thing. It's not because they don't like anybody, or it's just not right for them. And that's okay. Once again, we all make it to be what we need it to be. I know this has been a very, very, very quick thing. I don't even know what time it is, so I'm not looking at a clock. I can keep talking for a long time on this. I'm happy to answer or field any questions about pet play. But this is kind of a very brief introduction. The best I can do in 15, 20 minutes.
You're doing fabulous, pup. Fabulous. We do have some questions, and while a lot of us are familiar with the terminology, there are some new people here that are wanting to learn about pup right now, which is awesome. Talk about what a mosh is. Explain what a mosh is, because not everybody knows what that is.
Absolutely. So a mosh is just that. It is, you guys remember hearing the term mosh pit, where everybody's just in the floor dancing and playing and banging around and stuff. Pups get together and mosh. We get together, okay, maybe we're not dancing, but we get down there and it is just a big playpen. We are, I typically, when I do it, I have some large, I think it's EVV foam pads that go down on the ground to help protect the knees, help protect the pets as they're playing. But it is literally, I've seen moshes as, it can be two people that mosh. And it's just a term for playing and getting together. It can be as much as, I think the biggest one that I've ever participated on was like at IPAW and last year, and it was absolutely amazing and almost overwhelming for me the first time I got in there. When you've got 100 pups, and I think there was a dragon that was playing, and there was I think there was a cat or two, but there was like 100 pups, all just on this mat, roughhousing, tumbling, wrestling, whatever they could do, and you're just kind of going, oh my gosh. So it can be overwhelming if you're not used to it, but that's what a mosh is. It's basically a play space. It is getting down and roughhousing and playing and pretending your dogs. Have you ever seen your dogs just, two dogs go at it and play, and they get down and they might, wrestle a little bit and growl and bark and jump and chase a ball around or chase each other around. So those are the basics of what a mosh is.
Okay, cool. And is it appropriate to touch a pup, or should you always ask for permission?
I will say there's two pieces to that. Every pet is different, and it depends on how you're planning on touching them. I will say that if you are with a pet who is on a leash, and they're being held by somebody, you want to make sure that you ask permission first.
Right.
Most pets, not all, you have to kind of figure out that dynamic between them. But most pets, it is absolutely okay. Put your hand out and just, like scritches. Can I give you a scratch? Can I, behind the ear, somewhere up here, give me, a little bit on the jaw, whatever, on my neck. I'm good with that. And 9 times out of 10, and again, if you don't know the pet, always want to ask. The other thing that I would throw out there consent-wise is the tail. Don't, please, please, please don't go up to a pup or a pet and start banging their tail without consent. That's no difference than, a guy walking up to a girl and start smacking her breasts around. It just, you don't do it. This is an extension, and I have seen, not that I would ever do it, but I have seen individuals that will actually wear an insertable tail out. And when you start doing something like that, and that's an insertable tail, guess what? That's a recipe for disaster. So be be polite, be considerate. But yeah, I would, if you don't know the pet, definitely reach out your hand and give scritches. And 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to walk right over to you.
Always, exactly. Okay, so someone interested in PetPlay is asking what, and you might want to talk maybe about your group and how it's approachable on Facebook if it's open to people, but what resources, websites, books can you recommend for those who are interested in learning more about becoming a pet and a handler?
So one of the websites I think one of the first ones that I ever came across was pupplay.info. And they've got some little videos, they've got some, reading material, they've got links to gear, it's kind of like an all-in-one encompassing. I think that's probably one of the best sites that I have come across. I'm not saying there aren't others, because I'm sure there are. That's the one off the top of my head that I can do. As far as my group, I have a group called Midnight Howl KC. Midnight Howl KC. You can find us on Facebook. It is a private group, so you do have to fill out a short little quick questionnaire and submit that to get accepted into the group, into the Facebook group. It is open to anybody. I don't have a problem with sharing that information or doing that. Meetings, right now we've been doing our meetings virtually because of COVID. However, typically for the past year, the meetings have been at my house. And I think on an average right now we're averaging, or we were before COVID, we were averaging about 25 to 30 people per meeting that were showing up. And we try, it doesn't always happen, but we try to do the first half of the meeting some sort of an educational topic, some sort of, some sort of topic that people want to know about. We've done things on gear care. We've done things on service pets. We've done things on moshing, pet play, full classes on those. So there's definitely, some stuff there, but it is done at my house. And because of that, I'm very cautious of who I just invite over to my house. I am definitely open to everybody, but I want to make sure that you have either a reference within the group that's somebody that knows you, or I want to meet you one time before you come over to my house. Other than that, I'm open. We are growing. We're probably going to have to move out of my house here soon, but we're still working on it. We do have a couple of pets that are not 21. They are 18. You must be 18 to join the group. However, they're not necessarily 21. I think I've got a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old still in the group. But so we try not to do things that are bar related for that purpose.
Okay. All right. That sounds really, really good. I'm waiting to see if there was any others, because we have a little bit of a 20-second lag with the posting, so we'll kind of fill that in. Talk about breeds. Is every pup a breed?
Not every pup has a breed. Not every pet has a breed. I do. I'm a Great Dane. You start to, when you're working with breeds, you start to realize how, you take on, like I said, a pupsona. You take on this persona of what, how you act, how you react. Some pets are very hyper, and they're Jack Russell Terriers, and they're just all over the place, and they just can't sit still. Then you've got a couple of them that are a little bit lazier, and they might just they maybe howl a lot, and that's about it. So you do tend to start to identify as a breed. It's not always going to be the case. There are some pets that just say I'm a pup, or I'm a cat, and maybe they're not a tabby cat, or maybe they're not a specific breed of cat, or whatever the case is. But every breed typically does have some sort of a personality traits or energy traits or anything else like that that they will typically start to take on.
Okay. All right. Tim, do you want to throw any questions in there or see anything on our feed here?
Nope, I don't have any questions. I don't see anything on my end.
Okay. All right. And I just want to say, Zeph, that's an incredible amount of attendance for such a new group. That's yes. Phenomenal. Really proud of you. Really proud of you. And we could do a whole nother class too on service pups, because that's a big thing that, I do that because I'm a pup handler too. And so kind of on a hiatus with not a pup right now, but that's a big thing. Like, and we're getting ready to talk about mental health and, you know, people that have different type of mental health challenges, having a service pup and how it benefits both people, like helping with medicine reminders and things like that. And have
Right.
you run into a lot of pups that have done that? Can you kind of piggyback on that a little bit?
I mean, I do know about 2 or 3 service pets that have done some of that. Some of them have been more emotional support pets. You know,
Right.
that they're just there. I know some that that run interference when they go to the bar because I know that their handler has anxiety and
Exactly.
you know whatever. So they like literally they run out in front and make sure that people don't come running up to them, or they kind of try and clear a path a little bit. So
Right.
those are again, yeah. There's hours that we can talk about service pets and stuff, but absolutely you do
Right.
have you know, those are the 2 that I know, interference, emotional support, and stuff. And I like med reminders and, you know, trigger comforters. If, you know, somebody get triggered, they start to realize, hey, this is a sign. This is what I need to do to help them
Right.
coping skills, stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot with that.
And just as to share what we were talking about touching and things, if you do see a service pup and they have a service pup vest on, do not touch the dog. Ask for permission. Well, and in general, you should ask for consent anyways. It's just, you know, it's just appropriate. And it is a really fascinating thing, and I think you're going to see a lot of growth on that soon in the pup industry for sure. Let me see. I don't see any more here, Zeph. I'm trying to think if there's any others. We super appreciate that was a phenomenal, even if it was a crash course, it was a phenomenal class. You did a fantastic job, and we super appreciate you coming on here. I miss seeing you. I know, right? I need some treats to throw to you.
Yes,
So, yes, Scooby Snacks. So, okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And like I said, if you want to share this with your friends, we will have it recorded and posted online. So feel free to put it in Howl or wherever you want to put it in. Zeph is always approachable, awesome guy, very knowledgeable. Write him, add him, friend him, and you know, learn. He's a great mentor too. So
on Facebook, I go by George Dane.
Right. Okay. And if you can hop on the feed when you log off and maybe share those links you were talking about, that would be great because I didn't have them accessible. So, all right. Well, yay. Thanks, Pup, for coming, and hope you have a fantastic day. We love you. Take care.
Thank you, Zeph.